But yeah, so let's see what Goji Shea asked a little. Have you read the original Moby Dick novel? Yes, Goji Shea. I read that. I'll just call you Shea. I read the original Moby Dick a long time ago. Not too long ago. I think maybe the last time I checked out was like 8 years, but that was through an audiobook. But yes, I am very familiar with the original Moby Dick. And let me show you what I'm currently working on right now. I'm doing an illustration of Moby Dick right here. And of course, Moby Dick is the white whale from. Actually, let me refine something here. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I totally forgot. The Twitch screen is going to see whatever else I do, so I have to be careful. I have to be very careful. Like, what is it? Yeah, check. Okay, there's a delay over there. Okay, StreamYard's going well. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, Moby Facebook. Oh, right. Okay, I posted on something completely different. Okay, yeah, this is going like clockwork. I mean, by clockwork, I mean somebody's peanut butter jelly sandwich fell into the clock tower and all hell's broken loose. Okay, all right. So this is what I wrote about Moby Dick when I was sharing off a preview. Preview art for Moby Dick, the titular whale of the 1851 novel by American writer Herman Melville, is more or less in the public domain, and hence I can securely add this character to a gathering of other giant monsters and what happened to the great whale decades later from his initial appearance in any original fiction I do. My rendition of Moby Dick is the giant animal equivalent of a weathered boxer whose scars and battered and deformed face hints to a long life of horrific battles and brutal victories against untold numbers of challengers, vengeful human whalers among them. I consider Moby Dick to be a proto-kaiju, or just giant monster in general, especially considering the ambiguously supernatural nature of the titular character, the latter era adaptations of him, both as a more straightforward monster and even as a Saturday morning cartoon superhero, thank you, Hanna-Barbera, as well as all the kaiju and other giant monsters from fiction of whom Melville's book has directly inspired. Plus, a fish-like version of Moby Dick guest starred on the King Kong shows, so there's that too. All right, so yeah, there's so that's the reason why I'm adding Moby Dick to a book of giant monsters I'm currently working on. So another reason I'm drawing Moby Dick here. I'm doing Moby Dick, yeah, right. I know Brayton's going to have a field day with that. Is because I kind of feel sorry for the treatment of whales in kaiju-related fiction. Whales are like some of the coolest animals in the world, and almost every time you see the portrayal of whales, they're usually food for a bigger fish, so to speak. And quite frankly, I think that's kind of lame. It's like whales are roughly the same size as some of these non-Godzilla-ish giant monsters in fiction. And considering how badass sperm whales and even whale relations like orcas can be, humpback whales too, it's like you think they'd have a fighting chance instead of just being food for other creatures. So in the context of this book, my idea is that Moby Dick has kind of returned from hiding, and he's become sort of the patron guardian of whales in the wide ocean against other giant monsters, especially since he himself has grown to immense size. And yeah, let's show that full-scale Moby Dick again. So I'm currently working on the water coming out of his blowhole. Originally, it wasn't going to have that, but it just seems more spectacular that way. Like he's coming out of water, he's getting a breath, and he's blowing all that water out. And as you can see from my version of Moby Dick, again, the main idea is that this whale has been around for a very long time, maybe even longer than when we first met him in 1851. And this is a whale who has been through a lot. You know, his front nose, which technically whales don't really have noses. This is the front of their face. Okay, Brayton says, a whale derailed my dream train raft. Oh, yeah, I remember. We'll discuss that when you come aboard, whenever you want to come aboard. But yeah, this area is not technically the nose of a whale, even though it has a lot of fat. But this area is just the front of the whale's face, and it does have internal organs that are connected to the nose or the blowhole. A blowhole is basically the nose for a whale. But it does have internal organs that allows like a submarine to take in as much water and to release as much water for buoyancy's sake, to give the whale to let the whale dive more effectively underneath the water. More interestingly, though, I gave Moby Dick here tons of scars across his body. And this may have been attacks from other whales, attacks from other kaiju. The suction cups here are from giant squids for sure. But yeah, these scars have healed over time, but they definitely show that he has taken a lot of damage throughout his life. And again, the front of his face, or the bulk, I guess the bulk, I guess that's what you call the front of a boat. I guess we'll call this the bulk right now. It's been deformed from years, maybe even centuries of combat with other sea monsters. And originally I was going to use the term malformed, but malformed and deformed, there is a big difference. Here's a vocabulary lesson for you. Deformed means something that's been misshapen recently. Malformed is something that's been misshapen from the very beginning. Malformed is somebody who's been born damaged, or it was created damaged or defective to begin with. Malformed. Deformed is something that came after the fact, and usually deformations, I don't know if deformation is a real word, deformities are sometimes temporary, although they can, leave scars or permanent damage behind. But yeah, malformed, it's been warped from the beginning, from birth. Deformed, it was warped long after the fact, or shortly after the fact. So yeah, that's the difference between malformed and deformed. I almost made a big mistake by putting malformed when I should have said deformed, because I'm thinking Moby Dick here was probably born a regular whale before all this mayhem happened. He was born an albino, that's for sure, but all this damage is a different thing altogether. Goji Shea says the only kaiju movie I can remember seeing whales in off the top of my head is the whales being scared away by Godzilla and Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. That is true, although almost like the poor mother and baby whale in the Meg. Gotcha Man had an episode where a army of whale-based submarine robots totally decimated an entire herd of whales. It's like tons of other like kaiju fiction where it's like, oh yeah, a dead whale, that means something must have ate it. So I just felt sorry for whales. So, and there are some cool whale kaiju out there. Moby Dick, of course. But there's also the 3 giant super whales that showed up throughout various episodes of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. There's, of course, the titular monster of the whale god from Dai Productions. That's a really impressive character. And Goji Shea continues, says, I suppose we can count Big Ben from Rudolph's Shiny New Year. I like Big Ben, the weird clockwork fantasy cyborg whale with a very, very pleasant voice. How are you doing? Hello, Rudolph. Now, another thing about Moby Dick here I wanted to mention was that, he's supposed to be a sperm whale in the original novel, but I mistaked him for a humpback whale. And it's easy because they have similar builds, although a humpback whale doesn't have the same kind of narrow jaw as a sperm whale. And, of course, they're called humpbacks because they have huge humps on their back, whereas sperm whales, I think, are lacking that. But I've decided with Moby Dick, I think he's a very unique species of whale, either a fluke of nature as opposed to a freak of nature. A freak of nature usually is a negative context, meaning like this shouldn't exist, like it's an unfortunate mutation or a malformity. Fluke of nature is a positive context, saying that, yes, this thing is an unnatural appearance in nature, but this unnatural appearance and abilities work perfectly for the creature or person in question. Hence, fluke is good, freak of nature is bad. More vocabulary lessons for you. By a fluke of nature, he's probably not a normal sperm whale and not a humpback whale. He could even be a hybrid between the two, and he was born as an albino because of that hybridization. But no, for the most part, he is almost an unintelligible whale. And there is a real albino whale in nature. I think its name is Migloo or something. Hold on, I'm going to double check. Albino whale. Oh, there you are. Story of Mel. Okay, where is? Yeah, there is a real life whale, albino whale currently living named Migaloo, Migaloo. And I don't know, I think he's a humpback whale. Yeah, okay, he's definitely a humpback whale because sperm whales have the thin jaws. Humpback whales and sperm whales have similar bodies, but the heads are very different. But yeah, that's the big difference between a humpback and a sperm whale. Although with that says, yeah, I think now looking at the differences online, I think Moby Dick is definitely a sperm whale through and through. Although his body is built more like is much more thicker and stronger than what you think a sperm whale should be. So, but yeah, as for Migaloo, yeah, he's a very interesting whale. He's rare, but they keep tabs on him, and he's protected by multiple international law as an endangered individual. But it's funny, Moby Dick is a terrifying demon of the sea, while as Migaloo, a real-life albino humpback whale, is said to be very pleasant, ridiculously peaceful at that, getting along with other whales and all that. So, and a happy boy, too. It's like most albino animals don't last so long, and apparently Migaloo has been around. He's doing extremely well for a big albino whale, so. Okay. So yeah, let me get out of that. And then what do we got here? Brayton says a fluke is also a bone in a whale's tail. Hey, I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. All right, nice. So yeah, and that's what I think. So, oh, by the way, I tried doing some in-jokes with the scars here. There's, of course, you know, sperm whales eat giant squids all the time and other octopuses. So, of course, he has tons of suction cup marks. Now, I figure Moby Dick is such a badass that even barnacles dare not land on his body. Not only that, but I have tons of other sea monsters. And just putting barnacles on a white whale seems redundant. But I figure he's so extreme and aggressive that it's almost impossible for barnacles to naturally grow on his body in any way. And if you notice his chest, yeah, that Z there is deliberate. And no, he didn't fight Zorro. But that would be cool. No. It's just, I remember that in the Gamera versus Zigra does a similar cut to poor Gamera. But I'm surprised they didn't use that as an opportunity to put a giant Z. But then again, the Zorro Z on the chest, I think, is really just an American pop culture joke as opposed to something you'd see in Japan at all. In fact, I don't even know if Japan got the Disney Zorro series. So I decided to do that, hinting that, yeah, at one point Moby Dick here survived a battle with Zigra. So whether he won or not, I don't know. So, okay, let's get back to work. Okay. Yeah, how long have we been going on the stream?
Looks like you've been
I feel like you want to end it, but you don't want to say. I don't understand why.
I don't know. I'm so close. Well, I can't do gradients tonight. That's going to take forever to do on Moby Dick here, but I got quite a bit of work done.
Wait,
so.
What is this for? I missed the beginning.
Oh, yeah. This is my well, first off, this is just my take, my particular rendition of Moby Dick, the famous whale, because I consider him to be a proto-kaiju or an honorary giant monster. There's
just a whale, Raph.
No, there's
whales exist, Raph. They're big things.
I know, but okay, hold on. Let me read. Since we're going to be ending this, let me read why I called the character what I called the character.
You wrote it down.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has to have these prepared statements. So
Somebody find the whale statement.
So he doesn't make a goon out of himself with his butter lips.
I feel like he has a Rolodex and he's just like going through it and he picks up the card and he's like, whale.
Okay, here's what I wrote about this when I was sharing a preview on one of my Facebook groups. Let me take a liquid. Hold on.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah, let him take a liquid. Go ahead, Raph. You alien.
Is he gonna talk like the whale? Like
No, yeah. Do your do your beluga the baby narwhal voice, Raph. Reading this post. There you have it.
you just sound like a muppet.
Yeah, Kermie.
Yeah, that could be.
Okay, no. This is what I wrote, and this is why I'm doing Moby Dick. Because he's big and long. No, I'm just kidding. So, because his name's Moby Dick, yeah. All right, I'm so sorry, everybody.
My middle name is Dick, Raph. We've established that.
Brayton.
Richard.
Okay, Richard. All right, there we go. I was going to call you Dickweed. Anyways.
I'm this close to Richard Donner. I'm just off by one word or one letter.
Can you remake the Goonies for me, Brayton?
I don't want to go near that.
Okay. So
It'll just be you in every role, Raph. And then
I'm the octopus. I'm the little Asian kid. I'm the fat kid. Oh, I'm
Dirty McCruption instead of whatever it was with the sloth.
oh yeah, just have Dirty McCruption instead of Sloth.
Yeah, that would be as scary as finding that.
You guys.
how you doing?
He's got a girlfriend and you're about ready to go, right?
All right, let me read this before I go too long. Preview art for Moby Dick, the titular whale of the 1851 novel by American writer Herman Melville,
No.
is more or less in the public domain, and hence I can
The novel done by Herman Munster.
and hence why I can securely add the character to a gathering of other fictional monsters.
Wait, I missed that part. Why?
Huh?
Because he's big?
Because he's part of the public domain. He's not going to get in trouble.
You can play around with the character.
But he's not a monster. It's a whale.
No. Okay, let me continue reading this and stop me, okay? Or else I don't want to mute you guys. I love you too much, okay? Add the character to a gathering of other giant monsters and see what happened to the great whale decades after his initial appearance. My rendition of Moby Dick is a giant animal equivalent of a weathered boxer whose scars and battered and deformed face hints to a long life of horrific battles and brutal victories against untold numbers of challengers, vengeful human whalers among them. I consider Moby Dick to be a proto-kaiju / honorary giant monster, especially considering the ambiguously supernatural nature of the title creature from the original book, latter era adaptations of the character, both as a straightforward giant monster and even as a Saturday morning cartoon superhero, thank you Hanna-Barbera, as well as all the kaiju and other giant monsters from fiction of whom Melville's book has directly inspired. Plus a fish-like version of Moby Dick guest starred on the King Kong show, so there's that too. Let us read the minutes. Yes, I love the Hanna-Barbera Moby Dick. Moby Dick the super whale. He was fighting giant monsters all over the place and aliens. It was like the Godzilla animated. It was like the Godzilla cartoon before the Godzilla cartoon. So, but yeah.
Anyway. So you know how there's Hannah Montana. What if she was a chick from like Barbados? She could be called Hanna-Barbera.
Good one, like that.
Thank you.
That was a stretch, though.
Well, it hurt my back stretching that hard. But okay. Well, it's better than your monolith monster defense.
No, I'm coming around to the point that the monolith monsters is bullshit.
Which one's the monolith monster?
There's big rocks that fall over.
Isn't that just what rocks?
Yeah, rocks.
I'll play a trailer at the end of the night before we close.
Raph called them giant monsters just because they were called monsters by some huckster movie producer in the 1950s who wanted to get people into the theater. They're not monsters, Raph. They're rocks.
You saw the movie with me, so you and Jesse were.
Well, first off, because it was just a mind-numbingly dull movie, but dull as the rocks. And yeah, no monsters. I was hoping for some third act surprise, but nothing.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. Let me. Okay.
Oh wait. Is that a small volcano in the background, Raph? What are you doing?
Oh no, I'm gonna share the Monolith Monster trailer with everybody. We'll do it as our last.
I don't want to see it again. No.
But
maybe we won't have to because we're in stream mode. We'll be good.
Okay then. Yeah. Well. Okay then. Let's go back to talking about Moby Dick here. So, but yeah, I'm glad my statement made sense because I it's like, and not only that, but it's like I'm kind of playing a. As I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, I get so sad whenever I see the mistreatment of fictional whales in giant monster media. They're always like leftover food. Like the whales can barely defend themselves against other giant monsters, and they're freaking whales for crying out loud. A blue whale alone is big enough to like beat Anglius in the face. But it's like you always see it in giant monster fiction. It's like, oh, they're so easy to rip apart and kill. And yeah, that's kind of true because of real life whalers. But my version of Moby Dick, I figured that if he survived into modern times and giant monsters were commonplace, he would be like the patron saint guardian of other whales. And he'd be like beating the shit out of sea monsters and alien invaders all over the place. So yeah, my version of Moby Dick is basically a badass, and he doesn't take gruff from anybody. So
he's a badass, and he has a battle axe and a machine gun, and he shoots flames from his nose.
Yeah, he shoots.
Like that whale that gets blown up. Is that like their patron saint?
No, that's their version of Jesus.
He was
that
for our souls.
Yeah, that does count actually. So
how old is that video? What is it? 1970? Oh, that damn.
Yeah, but no, I just felt sorry about how the short end of the stick whales get in giant monster fiction,
and in life.
Yeah,
in life too. So
I'm
it's
not
like
doing so hot right now.
So yeah. So the idea that Moby Dick comes back from the grave and battles for the justice of whales around the world just appeals to me. Moby Dick fights back from beyond the grave.
You can make like the tag team of like him and Jaws and Tillamook, and just like they're all just coming back.
Orca
too, yeah. You know they were going to make a sequel to Orca, and it was going to be a murder mystery. Like, why are people being killed on dry land and there's seaweed being left behind? But then it's like after 2 weeks of people working on the script, they all came to Dino De Laurentiis and says, how the hell are we going to make a movie where a whale kills people on dry land?
Wasn't it Jaws 3 was supposed to be like a voodoo murder mystery?
I don't know about. I know that Jaws 3 was originally envisioned to be a pure comedy because they didn't know where to take the movie elsewhere from there.
What's the one? Is there 4? Is there 3?
There's 4 of them in total.
What's the one that has Michael Caine in it?
That's the fourth one. That's
okay. So the 4th one is the voodoo murder mystery one.
Yeah,
Jaws 3 is the 3rd one.
There was going to be a version of Jaws, one of the Jaws sequels that was going to have a voodoo murder mystery in it. Like the Jaws was actually summoned by a voodoo priest to kill someone.
That was 4 would make sense because that's the coastal movie in the Caribbean, I think.
Yeah, and at one point they got Arthur C. Clarke to do a script, but he was like, "I don't like sharks. It's about an alien. It's about aliens summoning a giant squid."
And then he flew away as a star child and went doody doo doody doo. He flew away, right, Raph?
Yeah. So yeah, and he tried to repurpose that script into a movie called Tentacles, not to be mistaken with the Italian movie called Tentacles, but that never went anywhere.
I was like, that just sounded like The Abyss, or is that The Abyss, the one with the aliens?
No, The Abyss did have aliens. So yeah, but no, that's my Moby Dick right there. So I'm really happy with the way this one's coming out. It's going to be a bitch doing all the shining on the water though. So
lovely.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I look at him and he's like the William Tierney of he's like the Oliver Reed of giant sea monsters. He's beautiful.
Has a hideous drinking problem.
That too. So that was an accident. The oil tanker exploding. That was Moby Dick trying to get some booze. So
why does he have like liver spot pock marks on his mouth?
Oh, that's inspired by the real life scars that sperm whales get when they eat giant squids.
Oh.
Yeah, because scientists for many years wondering why do sperm whales have so many suction cup scars around their lips, and it was revealed that when they're deep in the ocean eating giant squids or Humboldt squids, the squids are fighting back before they're swallowed whole.
I
So
feel
yeah,
like
that's
you said, why do we have giant suction cup size? Like, I feel like that answers the question. Like, the answer is in the question.
oh, okay. Just say, oh, giant squids. Okay.
It's like, obviously, the thing didn't want to die.
Yeah, but so as I decided to go crazy this time, that's why Moby Dick here has a lot more suction cups because he's killed a whole mess of giant squids throughout his life.
Because he's a badass.
Yeah, exactly. I even threw in a little Gamera gag. Noticed the giant Z on his chest.
Yes.
He battled Zegra off screen.
Okay.
Unofficially.
All right, Rav. You can put down the toys and come in for dinner now if any time.
I just imagine he's the kid from Final Wars.
You know, I'm imagining like sitting like crisscross applesauce with Raph in his sandbox right now as he's explaining all of this while demonstrating with action figures.
Like, put down the cat poo, Raph. Put down the cat poo.
Oh my god, I'm a loser.
No, you're a very creative little boy, Raph.
I know. So, but yeah, this is going to be a part of a multi-illustration book I'm working on. So
who's next?
Tila, the loser sister of Talos.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you invent that?
Yes.
Oh, so that's not real.
No. Talos doesn't have a. Oh, wait a minute.
You're just throwing a.
Yeah.
You're throwing a famous literary character in with your made-up BS.
The whole point of the book was there was all these like public domain things.
Yeah. No. It's going to be a mix between original monsters and monsters from mythology and classical literature. So I can't.
You're going to try and fool your audience.
What?
What is the theme of the book?
Okay, so
you're going to try and fool your audience into thinking that some of your creations are classical, mythological.
Yeah.
No,
I get it. It's like a scam.
Don't worry, everybody. I was thinking about that same problem too, and I'm going to have an appendix at the end, like that openly, just tells you what characters.
Because when I buy a giant coloring book thing, I look at the appendix at the end.
Yeah, Raph is just going to tape his appendix that was removed when he was a young kid to the back of the book. He's been saving it all these years.
I did that pun with my neighbor whose grandson is having his appendix taken out, and we had to wait for her to stop laughing after 10 minutes.
I had my appendix taken. I told you that story.
I know, yeah. Yep. So does the ice cream thing work, or is that just bullshit?
What ice cream thing?
They don't give you. Oh no, that's when they take out your tonsils. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my tonsils they took out. I got ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you had both?
Yes, I've had my tonsils removed, I've had my appendix removed, and my wisdom teeth removed.
You got like all the useless things out of your body?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm a shallow husk that's left. They've taken everything from me.
Oh,
I got these scars. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, pretty lame scars to have.
Mirror now. I did the best I could
tell people somebody stole your kidney.
Yeah, I can say that. Yeah, I woke up in an ice bath and in the Philippines someplace. And
the dumbass took my appendix, though. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
okay.
Who want that? I don't know.
All right, I'm going to say goodbye to Moby Dick. I think I'm done with him for the night. I've had enough, Dick. Moby.
I've had enough of Moby.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't get enough Dick, personally. But
yeah.
Moby is,
Moby is like the poor man's Fat Boy Slim.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, I am...